everybody. Welcome to today's TWI Talks. We're going to cover chapter 9.61G. It's all going to be a massive thing about the grand design of Istakinos. Sorry. I think it's very Greek, the name. I still haven't quite gotten used to the way it's supposed to be pronounced. So, because this chapter is essentially a giant lore drop, and we're talking about nothing but lore drops, I do not want to spend the next 25 minutes with everybody going over how amazing Pirate is or how much weird stuff has come out of this chapter. We're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to start off, because I've already written up the document with all the lore stuff, put it in there. If you see some lore, share some lore. And this is all for everybody to know. These are things we are all aware of. No one needs to point it out. It's all there. Okay? What we're going to do for the general impressions instead is I'm going to ask you a singular question. What is the one piece of lore that you want to talk about? And this is going to be first come, first serve. So if somebody else gets to it, you're flat out. You got to pick something else. Pick the one piece of lore you want to talk about and talk about it for your general impression. What's so cool about it? What did you like about it? First come, first serve only. So if you get here first, you get to talk about it first. All right? And we're going to limit it to 10 people because I don't want to, again, not want to spend the whole day here. 10 people. So 10 reactions, 10 pieces of lore. Give a little bit of time. I'm going to give you an example of what it's going to be like because I get to pick first. Oh, yeah, and hi, I'm Oshi, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Okay, the one piece of lore that I want to talk about is the fact that ghosts are not necessarily gone. So we see in the chapter that Drevish comes back because he now has a marker next to his ghost that says Allegiance Casigna, and he gets to come back because Casigna does not consider him a threat or an ally, whatever. Does this? I think I'm speculating. It means that all of the ghosts could potentially come back, and that the gods, because so I have this theory that the gods have two existences. One existence is mimetic. It's like they exist as a concept rather than a physical being, right? They are war. They are death. That's why that's why they're so hard to defeat. And the other part of them is that they have a form, a body, an existence in the physical realm. That's why, and I think, right, what the gnomes did and what all those folks did was use up all their abilities to destroy the physical bodies of all these gods. And then once they retreated to the mimetic realm, found a way to seal things off so that they could not come back. And and what the ghosts are trying to do now is they're trying to absorb the dead, absorb these souls, these pockets of power, because now we know that the one rule that gnomes change for the grand design was to make it so that they saved everything. They say it used its energy, its god power, to save the souls of all these people, these memories. So it's like these tiny droplets of power. And now that they've consumed enough of the dead, they have all these power so that their mimetic form is stable enough, and they're going to pull up enough power from the normal world to reconstitute their bodies. That's what they're trying to be reborn physically. And once they're reborn physically, all bets are off, right? That's what it's all about. That I love that. And I cannot believe Pirate came up with this concept. I think it's two-tiered. I don't think it's super clever, but the fact they've layered it so much. Anyway, I commend Pirate for that. All right, that's me. So we're gonna start off with Ed. Go for it. You just ping straight up.
Yes, I want to talk about the 3 different places ghosts are going, or dead people are going. I read it twice and had Mr. Wiggles still explaining it to me.
Did you miss the part where I said we're not doing general impressions and we're just picking a thing?
All right, yes. I love the fact that we finally get. Okay, talk about. You're making me crazy, Oshi. All
Pick,
right,
please,
goblins,
pick one
people.
of
There
the two.
is a hell. There is a heaven, and uh,
Oh,
that,
I'll tag the one I already picked so that you guys can't do it. So pick one of the others, and you get to talk about it.
uh, you mean the fact that there's a heaven and apparently nobody, like for a long time, was
Pick one.
able to go there,
Pick
or
one. No, are you in the document that everybody is looking at except you? Apparently,
I'm not in the document right now. No.
yes. Go look in the document. There's an entire page, a full list of lore drops. Pick a lore drop, and you get to talk about it.
Then take somebody. I'm a bit confused right now. I'll look at the document. God damn it. It's okay. You can pick somebody else.
No, we'll wait.
Nah, I need too long for stuff like this. My eyes are.
Oh, okay.
It's
Why
yeah.
don't we come back to you at the end? Is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay. Thanks.
Okay, cool. Mr. Wiggles, you're up.
Well, since Wovwu wants to do Helsty, I will just go with the fact that the gnomes, put that little line in there, right? They put that line about saving every decision the grand design made. And it's just like hearing about that and knowing that the gnomes originally had wanted to, they went to war to make sure the grand design was not implemented. And after the war was over, instead of just destroying it after they'd won, they decided, instead we're going to make this into something more. It's going to be more than it was. And I think that's just really amazing and like personifies the gnomes in general. Like they're not vengeful, they're not after revenge for anything like that, but they wanted to make sure that the grand design could be more than what it was. And I also think part of that is because they kind of planned ahead in case the gods ever did come back. And I think giving the system a chance to grow on its own over time allows it to potentially go up and get go against the gods eventually. And I think that's kind of where we're going towards right now. As we saw this chapter, it was not happy with Casigna, and it's already changed the rules simply so faith people aren't so overpowered. So yeah, it's a really, really far side decision from the gnomes, and I really liked it.
Awesome. Okay, who's next? Let's see. Wovu, you said dibs on Helston. Everyone wants to talk about it, so you're up.
Yeah, so that was my favorite lore drop just because of the fact that we've always wondered why do goblin kings go insane? And then we get that line where it's a biological function, like not a leveling system, but like a biological function for goblins to remember literally everything. And so they remember that the gods like made it so all their souls go to hell with all the terrible people in the world by default. To me, that was just the biggest, like, for someone that wants to know Goblin King lore, that was probably the biggest lore drop of this entire chapter. So that's all I'm going to say on that, just because of the fact that I think that it was massive.
And it's not even that. I think someone just posted the screenshot of it, but the line is that all they did was remember everything, as if that's for the GDI. Not a big deal. For a singular being to remember everything, what does he mean by everything? What does everything encompass? Like it opens up as many questions as it answers. We know where the goblins are ending up. Well, can they leave? Can the GDI change the rules? What's going to happen to the goblin souls because they were not consumed and they're antithetical to the dead gods and they remember everything? Like it's like opening up another Pandora's box, don't you think?
It is. So one of the things about this reveal is that it kind of puts Hellstead in like a different light because of the fact that we know that goblins go there by default, and not all goblins are evil too. So I kind of wonder if maybe the goblins are supposed to fill the role of like the pitchfork demons that you kind of get stereotypically depicted in Hell. If that was their role in the grand design.
Wasn't that the Lucifan's role though? They were the
Do
way
we know that for sure though?
Yeah, we do. Like the lore drop earlier about the Lucifin and the court that they had, and the Agilum was that when what I forget what the exact name of the Agilum that ended up dragging what's his face, Beard Face, into the sky. But when they return to the afterlife, they become complete. The idea, I think, is that they're the mortal, like the physical instruments of these afterlives. So the Agilum would have been associated with the quote unquote good place, and the Lucifin would have been associated with the quote unquote bad place. So Hellst. And I'm guessing that they are the personifications and the runners of these afterlives, while but they're not there anymore. No one's there anymore. All that's left is the corrupted people and goblins,
Well,
right?
first of all, we don't know that all of the Lucifin left Hell. We don't know all the lore there. That's assuming
That's,
quite a bit.
like I said,
But yeah,
like a Pandora's box. No idea. Okay,
no idea. Yep.
we're going to move on to the next question. Sorry, next person. Um, why don't I read a few things off, and then we'll do Sir Bear if you're okay. Civ Seer says Krellers did crosses about 9/11 the summoning ritual. Okay, that's also Flos is absolutely going to steal Drevish's soul at some point. Don't agree. And I don't think any of the other comments have anything to do with. I know who's before you, Server, but give Razor. Just don't worry about it. So, Server, you go, and then we'll do Razor and Mystical Pie, and then I will offer it back to Ed, and we'll see if there's anyone else to round it out after that. See, that's 1, 2.
So, the thing that surprised me the most is, for a while in our community, a big theory was the gnome wrote the God code. They remove God from the code of the system. And this chapter, we learned it was not the gnome that did that. It was the mother flipping elf. Which
Okay, hang on. Wait. I'm going to repeat this because I think a lot of people just joined and did not hear it. Simple thing. Go to the document for this section. Just go to the document, pick a lore piece, and talk about it. I would really appreciate if you would do that. I know I'm being very pedantic about this, but there's a reason for this. It's so we don't go over things. And you're fine to talk about what you are, but let's keep to that for the future, please. Go on, Sir Bear.
So I was saying, the elf put the spell onto God Geese, which means two things. One, you can be more powerful than the system, which is a multiverse entity that can control everything, and in world and other universe a bit. It was supposed to be contained there. Two, that means the elves found a way to create a spell powerful enough to do that.
Okay.
I don't,
How do we know that the elves were the ones who created the god Gace?
it said in the chapter.
Yeah, what I'm asking, I can't remember. I remember it going into the Elven Dungeon. The GDI went into the Elven Dungeon, but I don't remember anywhere where it said that the Gaius, any indication that the Gaius was created by whatever that was.
When the grand design was going to the note of his founder, a spell attacked the grand design.
Right,
and the grand design said, "Ha, damn elves!" And
are you?
yeah.
No, I remember that part. But are you saying that you think that in that whatever was written there is what's causing the Gaius, and that the Gaius tried to destroy the grand design because it was reading about the gods?
Yes, because also the narration of the grand system says after elves, good thing they were dead. So in a way that meant the spell was made by elves, so we don't know how to fuel that.
And they
Maybe
use
this.
magic that wasn't even familiar. This is very cool theory, and I kind of love it. I love it, Sir Bear. You're right.
So in a way, it's insane because think of a relic. Of receiving multiple massive relic like Excalibur, Caliborn, the stick that are extremely powerful. You probably need a relic like that to create that spell, or you will need probably to sacrifice use a billion of elves magic to do that. It's insane. I don't know how they could have done that, or how many people die because of that spell.
Uh, I'm sorry. I'm like all up. I'm vibing with you here. Sips here just posted something, a very long post. I don't think it has anything to do with the Lord. Is this stuff to do with? This is a lot. We can talk about it later, though. Thank you for your perspective and the. I'm literally trying to figure out a way around your theory, but it sounds so plausible to me. It makes absolute sense. Why didn't I think of this? I'm like feeling stupid right now because it's so obvious, right? Of course, the elves would be the one to come up with the gifts because they're the most magical ones, and of course they would hide everything in some. Oh my god, why did I not think of this? Why wasn't it this obvious? I just thought it went to a secret place and the elves were like protecting their information, but this makes so much sense. Of course they would come up with it. Of course they would be the ones to like break. Oh my god, because they were also the ones who were likely the closest to the gods. Because we saw Sprigania was like close to one of the gods and sided with them. In fact, who else but they would think of a way to like mimetically destroy it? Oh my god, that's so cool. Okay. We're gonna move to the next person. Thank you so much, Sarah Bear. That was awesome. One more person. We were gonna do Razor Shark X. You're up. So
Hello?
pick your poison and tell us what the poison is before you start running into it. Okay.
The grand design was started a few thousand years before the God War was over. It's at the end of the document, right before the
Yeah.
Wheels Roll.
Okay. Cool. Go for it.
Okay, so to me, I think this one was my favorite lore drop because I think before this chapter, I thought that the God War ended when it started, but knowing that it started before that makes me reevaluate all the information we had from end of volume 8 to now, and I think that's a really cool thing to do with just a little tidbit of information. That's the main reason why for me it was the best one. Um, I'm not really big on theories. I'm not a huge like big brain theory person, but for me, when I'm hearing that the grand design was started a few thousand years before the war, I think that to me makes it more plausible that like the argument for the existence of the grand design wasn't the gods, but like other mortals. So I think before this chapter, I thought it was like the gods on the side of the creating the system and everybody else against them. But I think now that it was people wanting the grand design to be made, and then the gods corrupting it and starting it early for their own design, and
Okay.
that being a huge shifting point in the war. That's the
Well,
reason.
let me put something down. Let's see if what you think of it. During the Deadlands chapters and during the events in Volume 8 with all the Deadlands stuff, the impression I got from the way the way the gnomes and the way Sprigania thought about the gods, they still admired the gods. And I always got the impression that it was never a clean fight between one group and another. And the way it's written, the system itself is written, it clearly has rules to prevent bias. There's even a mention earlier in Volume 9 when we're talking about when the grand design takes us, quote unquote, to its central spot. It talks about how there is an entire set of rules about impartiality that would prevent anyone from doing bad with the system. That all, and the fact that Istakinos himself was literally killed and dismembered. So, like, all of these little clues I always took to mean that some of the gods were in favor of creating the system as like it was originally intended to be, a way that, like Spriggana talked about, a way for people who are short-lived to reach some of the grace and power that people like elves are able to, because they exist forever and they're able to do more. And they created the system with that intent in mind, and they wanted to make sure it was fair and good. And then there was a faction of gods who saw that this could be used to make themselves more powerful. And that's what started the war. That's been my impression for a while. Has that not been something you've been able to read off? Is it something that, and you're saying right now that it's more like factional, like it existed for a while and people decided that this is not good and then they rebelled? Is that how you think it's going?
I think I got that read when I was reading it like through the first part of the
Mhm.
Deadlands chapter of like, you know, the gods like corrupted. I didn't think it was a clean war, specifically because Spriggana even says that it was not a clean war. There was betrayal. Colwyn just did a bunch of stuff on multiple sides. But I think the fact that the grand design started early, like it was like a power move pulled by the gods to click it on, even though it was incomplete, makes me think that it was like truly multi-factional, even within gods and mortals themselves. Because I think before this, I thought it was just like two main sides to this, with like the goblins getting caught in like the middle. But now I think it's like there were some larger factions that had control and like, you know, a lot of the power in the war. But I think it was truly you had multiple other factions, and then factions that would have arisen independent of all the other sides the moment the system goes online.
So
And
it
I
wasn't.
think
So it wasn't. It's not good guys and bad guys. It's multiple different groups with different ideas of how things should be.
yes.
Okay, that's cool. I like that idea. All right. Is that good, Razor? Can I'm gonna move on because we're at 25 minutes. I'm trying to keep.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so we have Mystical Pie, and then I will try my best to go through and read some of these printed ones. I'm not sure how they apply. I'm going to say this again. If you're printing something, please like attach your printed stuff to a lore drop so that I cut it off the list. And just because I saw a couple of people come in, please go in the document, look on the first page. There's a bunch of lore stuff. We're doing first come, first serve. You pick a piece of lore and you get to talk about that piece of lore in the context of the chapter. We're not doing first impressions because I think we all agree the chapter was good. Pirate did good. We're good on that. Go ahead, Mystical.
Yeah, I thought one of the more interesting pieces
Oh,
of lore was the allegiance tags,
oh yeah. Okay.
because I think, kind of in the vein of what you and Razor Shark were talking about, it kind of it betrays what one of, maybe if not the original purpose, was one of the purposes of the grand design, which is to kind of build power for the gods, and it's not necessarily just to help mortals out, because we saw with at least how they worked originally with Eldavin. It basically just allows whatever god they're allied to, just give them whatever levels they want. It kind of allows them to act outside the system, like not entirely within the rules. So yeah, I thought that was interesting because I don't know. It's just
No, okay.
yeah,
Look. The tag thing. What makes it? I agree that makes it that there's like now there's a second argument that proves that there were like exceptions made, because we saw during the chapter, right, how the grand design weighed its own choices and weighed its own thing, and we had that whole section with Yalaz and his whole thing where he judged the system because it wasn't fair, and it pointed out to the clerical stuff, right? So you see that like it's not fair. Why would it be fair? But it's like, why should the system be fair? And it argues that, but then he points out these cleric and all these extra rules and exceptions that it's making, and how even as much as the system is like, even if it's balanced, it's not fair. You can't really say even this makes sense, right? And if it
yeah,
doesn't make sense, that dissonance between how it functions, how the world has worked within the absence of the dead gods, and now how it works with the dead gods, trying to kill people, moving things around, making choices. I mean, it freaked out, right? When
Yeah, I think another interesting thing is even if the rules are kind of inherently unfair or whatever, before the Dead Gods, since the Grand Design was the only one actually making decisions, it was at least internally consistent. But now that there's gods kind of interfering and having their own mortals under their control, there isn't as much consistency in the rules that it applies.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Ed, are you able to pick one now?
I don't know if it was in the document, but it's also not that important that crawlers apparently almost got the ability to level, and
I'll add it. Someone else, I think, some civs here also. Civs here also posted something about that. I was gonna give head to him because he posted a whole thing, but yeah, we can talk about it. Yes, Krellers almost gained the ability to level.
I don't even want to think about that because the whole fucking world almost died at a crawler war, and these were just beings so strong in their base form, without skills, without anything, that crawler kings like killed multiple named ranked adventurers. And just imagine if these things had the ability to level. I don't even want to think about it. And it was just a small lore drop, but would we know what about Krellas right now that the world just dodged apocalypse there, because nobody would have stood a chance with if these things had the ability to level.
It's also a subtle. Yeah. It's also a subtle like, hey, look, the trial of leveling isn't just some bullshit. Mm-hmm. It existed for a reason. The fact that the trial of leveling also, like, you have to consider that the Krellers had to, like, the rules require you to get friends with people who are already leveling, get help. Like, how the hell did they do all of those requirements and get as close as they did? You have to consider just how much. And what if they haven't and the trial of leveling is still ongoing for them?
Oh, dear Lord. I thought if you can you fail it and be blocked from it?
We don't know if they fail. Look, the Sarient Lambs have been doing it for hundreds of years.
Yes.
And what if the Krellers were stopped from making a temple and building a tower, and they built a tower later, but they still haven't completed the other requirements? Doesn't that mean that their trial is still ongoing, Ed?
Oh, God, dear Lord.
I
didn't even think about it, because that right there is an apocalypse situation.
So, yeah, let's yeah. I'm leaving these things have gone through my head. I just didn't point them out. Okay. Wait, does Razor is saying it says they failed in the chapter. They made it to judgment. Can you point to the line that says they made it to the judgment? My impression of it was they never made it to the judgment, only that they did it. Bookcase posted, but oddly, the number of species who even made it to the judgment phase had decreased since the Grand Design's inception. The last group who'd even made it to judgment had been. Oh, you're right. It does explicitly say that. Sorry. I missed that entirely. That's entirely my fault. Okay. You're right though. They did miss out on a second level of apocalypse if Krellers had been able to level. But it also begs the question, who the fuck helped Krellers?
Oh, God. Yeah, because there are idiots everywhere, so yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Somebody who got promised power.
Explicitly, during the trial of levels, one of the requirements is that they gain the help of a level 50 plus person without ever revealing anything, right?
I just want to correct, to say you can be fair by that person. That's why the founder of the Syrian Lamb accounts for the Syrian Lamb, because it started to fear its creation.
Oh, okay. Okay. We gotta that's a whole thing. Maybe we don't want to go down right now. But it's just so much to discuss. Thank you so much for that part, but I'm gonna wrap this one up if it's okay, Ed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right. I'm gonna try and go through since it's already connected to something you said, Ed. I'm gonna bring up first. Please, I know people don't want to talk, but please don't hesitate. If you want to just pick a damn lore drop, put it in the top of your comment, and just type out what you think about it. Bring it up as a topic. We still have 2 or 3 more slots left, so just post it, put it up there. I'll talk about it. And you in the document you can just highlight it and it'll just be claimed. I'm trying to get rid of the ones that have already been used. Hold on. And you just pick it, go for it. First come, first serve. We'll put your take up. All right, I'm gonna read Civ Seers. Oh god, this one's very long, and I'm trying to parse it. So, lore drop: how gods influence the living world from the Deadlands. I had completely forgotten about this, but yes, it was explicitly shown that Casigna is able to affect the physical world from the Deadlands. I mean, the gods. There was like an implication that the gods could do this, but it's shown now. So, Civ here titles this Krellers did 9/11, the gods, less terrible than we thought, question mark. Yesterday I had a flash of insight in this topic, and I now believe that the gods didn't supply the Burger King with the summoning ritual, nor do I believe he just, quote unquote, found it in a cave somewhere or earned it in a level up. No, I had a much more bizarre thought. We've seen that Sariant lambs have a conspiracy, but none of us stop to consider the implications of this. If there is a Sariant lamb conspiracy, why not Krellers? Why not Krellers? Question mark. Why not Krellers? We know they are intelligent. We've seen the adult Krellers think. We know from Kilb that they're working towards waking Sleepy, worshipping her until the first queen put an end to that. And we know there's got to be at least one ancient Kreller still kicking. We've got to see that rematch between it and Teriarch that was foreshadowed by Grimm all the way back in Volume 6. So Krellers lost 6,000 years ago, and they're an intelligent species. They can think, they can plot. So what have they been doing, have they been up to since? We all blame the dead gods for planting the summoning ritual somewhere because they benefited from it the most, and acted on it basically as soon as they could. Earthers aren't affected by the Gace, so they can worship the dead gods, but Sleepy benefits from this as well. The gods clearly recognize what the summoning ritual is, but that doesn't necessarily mean they did it. It's not a subtle spell. It causes miscarriages, fucks with travel between worlds, and if Sylphs can spot it, is it any surprise that the gods might recognize it? After the ritual happened, there was a gap of a half a year after the summer solstice for them to calm down, assess, and start making plans for the winter solstice. Another thing that never made sense with the gods did with what the gods did is okay, this is a sentence. Another thing that never made sense with the gods did its assumption is with the god did it assumption is how did they plant it? Did they just bury it in rear before they died and got lucky that the BK never found it 80k years later? The problem with the idea is how insanely arrogant they are. They never make backup plans in case of their death. Emmerhain maybe, since the guy seems the type to bury contingencies, but it's still a bit odd. Perhaps it took them 80k years to gain the strength to nudge someone in the direction of it, but we've seen Kasinga this chapter when she's the most powerful she's been in a long time, and she can barely kill a child. How on earth did they nudge someone towards the ritual before they ate the Deadlands and got the power increase that the Earthers gave them? But the Krellers could have found it. They're on Rear as much as the demons, Blighted Kingdom, and Antinium. They have the ability to find it. There's apparently quite a few adult Krellers chilling on Rear, judging by how many Sylvania teleports onto the fifth wall. They have the motivation to use it to wake their god, and more importantly than all this, they had to plant it. Krellers can't use magic. They're magical, clearly. They're telepathic. They're magical resistance, but we've never seen once any of them use magic. If they found it and realized what it did, they'd have to find someone else to use it. And the blighted king was sitting there, all stressed out and terrified by his enemy. And even if he wasn't, they could make him that way. They have time, and they can just keep gnawing away at his kingdom until he breaks. So yeah, Krellers did the summoning. Very well thought out. Reasonable assumption. Fuck you, because that's scary as fuck. If Pirate did this, I could totally believe it, because Pirate's a dick. Yeah. That's crazy. Yes. Oh my god. Okay. I don't have any comments other than wow. Okay. And Sir Bear posted a quote. The grand design canceled the magic as fast as it could. Oh, that was for the fact that the grand design almost died to possibly the elven magic Gaius. Bedless Sleeper regarding the elves and the Gaius. Gaius. I have to stop saying that. I really do apologize. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. It also mentioned that the magic was specifically warping around the names of the gods. This could be either taken as the magic was targeting written names of the god to enact its magic, or the Gaius magic itself was affecting the recording the elves made about the gods. The magic also directly targeted the system, trying to log information about the gods, erasing the information. The quote's good. That's good. Bedless Sleeper also responded to the lore drop about the gods influencing the living world. Regarding Krellers did 9/11 the gods. But I'm pretty sure it was mentioned somewhere directly, or at least implied that the gods themselves planted the summoning ritual. You got to bring some proof on that one, because I can't remember any point where there is a direct link tied between the gods and the summoning ritual. They made the rituals themselves, and they hid it in such a way that it could be found long after they were supposed to be defeated. Don't forget the gods have the ability to read and alter fate similar to the Fae, so they could have planned thousands of years in advance. I'm not sure if this is a TWI thing or a Gravesong thing. Sibs here in my genius theory was spawned by the reveal of how Casigna influences the living world. It's not enough to me to nudge someone in the direction of the ritual. She's pretty weak. She barely killed a child after a few houses at work at the height of her power. Okay, that was a lot. And I am still processing it. I don't know where it goes. Someone bring me something lighter to talk about, because I can't even figure out where this step goes next. Does anyone else have one more? We have one more slot for a lore drop they want to talk about. Anyone?
Did you talk about Nanette's reader class?
Did you? It's not. If it's not on the list, I have not talked about it. What is this lore drop you're talking about?
No, it's just that Nanette got her reader class.
Oh, Nanette's reader. Yes. But no, we didn't talk about it because, as I said, I wanted to focus a little bit on like the lore drops, since the chapter is so lore heavy and not on the events of the classes itself. But we could talk about Nanette's new class and include the reader class in context of this, if that's what you're talking about. Is that Michael?
Yes, sure.
Mario.
I think it's a really interesting class, given that Sarian lambs are such a popular species among people in the in world.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably going to explode when there's bound to be some people that are going to join
you mean the fact that everybody's friends with the Sariant Lamb and everybody could get the Sariant Lamb class? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
A lot of people at least, or some people.
Yeah, and,
Yes.
and the idea is that if the grand design, I'm wondering. Here's my exceptional thing to this, Mario. The grand design forced the level up, right? It didn't actually change any of the rules determining how a class is gained or a skill is gained. It ordered those specific things in place and created a miracle, and then erased the only way to create another miracle that would give that. So effectively what it did was use a miracle to give her that skill. I'm of two minds. One, if this is true, then everybody who's a friend with the Sariant Lamb will gain the Sariant Lamb class and have the Rule Breaker skill. Or it specifically did it via the miracle effect and then erase the ability for any more miracles to happen. which means that it can never happen again. I don't know which.
It's interesting, but I think it will be really massive for their objective.
Yeah,
If-
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
It's just like the fact that there's actually a skill that allows you to see around all of the like limitations that the system places, and both see what's within the system and what outside of the system, and that the Pavilion of Secrets is explicitly able to give you this skill is nuts. Also, it's a blue skill. What does that mean? I still don't know what that means if it's a blue skill. Like, does anyone have any idea why it's a blue skill?
It means like releasing either a restriction or like getting out of condition. It's like alleviating a status. It's something like that because we've seen it with the metal.
Oh, you're right.
Bug stuff.
You're
And
right.
we also saw with the slave class being removed. It's a
Right?
again rebel. So
Okay, okay.
it refers to either like getting rid of a restriction or like, alleviating a condition, which in this case would be whatever GS is restricting in the net's memories.
That is so true. But that also means that the system has to be. This is so weird. I know that the entire chapter kind of revealed the fact that the grand design it isn't omniscient. It isn't omnipresent in everything. It has that capability of collating stuff, and it separates itself to like handle all of the information, right? So that means that it's both aware of its limitations and not aware. It's so hard to like understand from my perspective. It's just such a big thing.
I think a good idea to think about it is that it knows what Earth is, but it doesn't understand it at all. For some reason, even though it knows all about Earth, it doesn't understand it at all. It doesn't understand like what other worlds are. It doesn't understand what gods are, even though it knows about them.
I'm trying
like
to
a weird
remember
separation.
what's a good metaphor for that, like a real life metaphor for that. Like, we know how to drive a car. No, the car's not, because a lot of people know how to understand. We know how to use a phone, but nobody knows how a phone works.
Microchips. It knows what it is, but it doesn't know the theory.
Go ahead, Bedless. By the way, all of this time, Bedless Sleeper has been the one that's been speaking. Go on, for it. Go on.
Oh no, I was kidding about the phone thing. I don't know how phones work. They just have signals, man. Signals, microchips. How do they work? Huh? Magnets.
Okay, so all right, I'll let you guys just keep talking in the chat about this stuff, because I think we've spent 40 minutes on this, and I'm gonna do a fast, quick log through these lore lists, my top 3 or something, and then we're gonna move on to the topic questions. And this is gonna be a longer recording. Sorry, this is gonna be the end of the recording, and then we're gonna just talk about the chapter. I think that should suffice for the recorded aspect, and then we can just have a discussion about what the hell happened, and squee and love each other and all that stuff. If you guys want to stick around for that, please do. It'll be lots of fun. And if you're European, I'm sorry. I wish I could have done it a different way. Okay, so dragons built a fucking tall as fuck tower, and since every consecutive tower has to be taller than the last, made gaining access to the leveling system super hard for the future. Best part about that, they failed, motherfuckers. Dead gods only have access to information from before the GDI began to grow and change the system, which means she literally fucking pulled out a book with instructions of the system. That cheater. Thank God the system grew and changed and they thought about this. What a cheater. GDI is on the side of all beings who level. It's on your side. And if you appear in this world, if you are part of this world, if you are part of itself, it's on your side. The entire universe could be against you, but the GDI will always be there for you. It is the Aisling mice for those who know Sean and McGuire's books, of this world, except it's never spoken before. But now it's taken a voice, it's taken a choice, and it's taken a side, and we got to see it all happen in this chapter. Okay, Thanks everybody for whoever's listening to the recording. I hope you had fun listening to us like have our minds get blown. Keep reading. We'll catch up a different time.